Hello, biggest investors, and welcome to a new episode of Big Talks with our licensed consultant, Mr. Erkut. Another frequently asked question, which is I wrote it for you, so we will not forget anything. What is the best property type for investment? Not wait.
For
Let-
investment?
Yes.
All right.
Let's start with the
Hmm.
apartment. Advantages and
Residences.
disadvantages. Yes.
All right. So the residences, I can say it's advantages if you're considering investment, because I guess from at one of our previous episodes we have already discussed the demand on the residences.
New families, new
Yes.
apartments.
So the demand on the residences is never going down. Oppositely, it's always going high because of the main reason people are keep marrying, and it means that they need home. So either rent or purchase. So that's why you never fail in a residential unit in
No
terms
risk.
of. I mean, of course, all the investments contains a risk. I cannot say no risk. However, of course, compared to other type of properties, residential units has much less risk in terms of having a tenant or resale possibility, especially if your property nearby a railway station.
If
Or
the
if-
location
Yeah.
choosing correct.
So you will face no difficulties either to rent or to resale the property.
All right. So apartment is good till now.
Of course.
10 marks for the apartment. Okay, so commercial.
Commercial, yeah. Commercial is also good in terms of investment, but there are some things that you should be very careful. The very
What
important
kind of
thing.
things?
I can say
Make me curious about it.
again, what type of commercial? Is it a shop, a storage, or a restaurant, or an office? Which type of commercial you're looking for? This is important. For example, sometimes we are having inquiry to buy a shop for $300,000. I usually recommend these people to stay away, because if you buy a shop for a low investment value, it will be located in a not very busy street. So it will be also very difficult to find a potential tenant for the shop compared to especially residential units.
More easy.
Much more easy on the residential units.
Logical.
And in the commercial, if you are planning to make a commercial investment, you should definitely have a high budget, okay? And more than the budget, you should focus on the location and the possible tenant, okay? So if you if you buy a shop in a main street, let's say Istiklal Street, of course it will be a good investment, because it's a famous street and you will most probably have a reliable
That is.
tenant, okay? For $400,000 in a small street shop, you don't know what kind of tenant you are going to have. If it's going to be a business owner, you don't know if he will be able to pay your rent on time. You don't know when he's going to leave. So too much questions. And resale is also more difficult on the commercial.
Okay, sorry for cutting you. I got your point. So, what about the COVID situation? How it affects the commercial in general?
Well, when we consider the COVID effects on the properties, especially on residential unit, it didn't have any effect at all. It had good effect on the villa type of properties. Because of the COVID and restrictions, people were stuck at homes, as you know, because of the lockdowns. So villa type of properties had a very high demand. Of course, because they have the gardens, so kids can spend time. Although there is a lockdown, you were free to enjoy within your villa, which is large. So that's why it had a good effect. But when we consider the commercials, COVID had the biggest effect on the commercials. Because of the COVID, because of the lockdown, most of the business were closed. So when the shops are closed, they are not able to make profit. They are not able to make
Pay
even
the rent.
revenue. How you expect them to pay the rent, right?
Logical.
So another thing, the government has protected the tenant, the business owners, in terms of the rental agreements. although let's assume that you have a shop and I'm the tenant, and due to COVID I got very bad affected, I'm not able to pay you the rent, you cannot take me out, you cannot kick me out from the property. Government protects me in terms of this. I have to pay the rent either today or next year. When I get my business back, I will pay, but you cannot take me out. So COVID had a very strong effect, very bad effect on the commercials, because most of the commercial owners couldn't collect the rental income, and most of the commercials actually get empty because most of the business owners decided to leave their shops or their offices. So that's why finding a new tenant, a new shop owner or a business owner is very hard. And this affected the rental values, this affected the resale values as well.
Whole chain.
Yeah, whole chain. When we discuss about offices, for example, offices for rental income, most of the offices also get empty. People were working at home, as you know, during lockdown, so offices were empty. I know a couple of giant companies just closed their offices totally, because they realized that it's much more safe and it's much more beneficial for the company, because there is no rent, there is no electricity bill, there is no expense, and you pay the same salary and people are working at home, especially IT people. So that's why I know one of the giant company has closed their almost 20,000 square meter office. So I cannot imagine how the landowner of that office tower is feeling. So that's why commercial unit has always contains higher risk. But when you consider before the COVID, they were the one generating the highest rental value in terms of the rental value. 8 to 10% per year is quite nice rental value. But after COVID, this percentage of course decreased, and resale is decreased, and the finding a nice tenant, a nice business owner is difficult. However, for the residential units, we never face such difficulties. It's always easy to find a tenant, it's always easier to resell a residential unit.
So what mark you can give for the commercial? I give the apartments 10 out of 10. What do you give the commercial?
Well, it depends on the budget. Yeah, for commercial, if you have a low budget, you better consider residential.
You are saying either go big or go home?
Yeah, if you have a higher budget for commercial, still you can consider, but very well-known locations, well-known streets, where you can find, for example, as a tenant, where we can find like a bank branch, for example, like safe, much more safe. And there is also villa, which we can discuss more.
Yes, the villa. Yeah. I wrote this on the villa, but you
you are too slow, brother. That's why. So the villa type, when we consider, as I have just told, during pandemic, during COVID, especially during lockdowns, it had a very high demand. Okay, so most of the empty villas get occupied. However, in general, when you look for the villa, if you're not planning to live, if you want to invest, villa is not a place to invest again. The reason, the number of people who are capable of renting
and
or buying villa is much less. Okay, so that's why buy villa to resale doesn't give you a high profit, because the demand is less. Okay, and it doesn't, and it is not easy to rent, easy to resale. And finding tenant as well is not that much easy, especially when you consider the price of villa with a residential apartment. There is a big gap, so you cannot fulfill this gap with the rental return or resale return.
So as a sum up, yani?
As a sum up,
as a sum up, let us hear from him. Say it.
If you want to enjoy a villa, go ahead. But if you want to have a return from villa, stay away.
Okay. So this was all for today. And as always, please hit the subscribe button. I see some people not hitting this subscribe button. Please hit it. And till next time, inshallah. Take care about yourself.
Also, just on top of your head, there is Istanbul Properties playlist. So guys, you can click this playlist to see the properties in Istanbul. And I'm going to put here the property tax Big Talk episode,
Another
which
Big
is
Talk
covering the property taxes.
All right. So until next time, this is Ubada and this is Biggest Invest.